Welcome to an advanced tactics masterclass with everyone's favourite dangerously delectable drill instructor, me. Most of you will not survive this course, but not everyone can rise to the top. Some will flounder, some will just about float. However, a handful of you, the very best of my younglings, perhaps will achieve greatness, and like the dolphins of the less watery warrior world, shall swim on air and shadow with grace and elegance, danger and teamwork, and tear to shreds the entire enemy team before they can yell, "Warm fish salad!" Yes, that's right, for if you listen, learn and get lucky, you may just be close enough to call me friend. Who am I kidding?
Hit the dirt, you sissy Sandra!
I'm DRBC 007, and you're joining me for another Battlefield Bootcamp, Advanced Tactics. I said, I'm DRBC 007, and you're joining me for another Battlefield Bootcamp, Advanced Tactics. Nothing? No interruptions? I guess we should...
Oh, for God's sake!
Number 1. Stand your ground. This first tactical tip is amazingly simple and tremendously powerful, but will require you to have grit, determination, and crazy big cojones. When in a firefight, the temptation is to run wildly towards your foes, flinging more fire and metal than Rammstein, or run towards the nearest hole like a horny rat up a drain pipe. But actually, you're doing yourself a disservice. When under fire, you are suppressed, so your aim is lessened. Then you're moving, so your aim is weakened even further. This makes hitting your target much harder to do, and basically comes down to skill versus luck. This is no even playing field. So why am I saying this? I want to even that field and take luck out of the equation. Let's take this scenario as an example. You see an enemy at the same time he sees you. You both start firing at the same time, both taking suppression, but you, for a fraction of a second, stay still and take time to aim without movement affecting your bullet's trajectory. You're able to take him out, or do enough damage to stop his firing. Now, many may say that this is counterintuitive, perhaps even mad. But I'm not suggesting standing in a field like a window-licking scarecrow. I'm saying that if you have the balls to stop for a second longer, you'll be in a much better position to take down your foes. Stand strong, stand your ground. Number 2. Center Mentor. Find your damned center! And I don't mean that feng shui shizzle that your beautiful Japanese lover wants, and nor does it mean chanting mantras to lessen the soul-crushing realization that you'll never be me, but find the center of your screen. I've mentioned this before, but good players are denied greatness by this simple but incredibly overlooked practice. Knowing where the center is will allow you to quickly change to and follow your enemies. A quick tip that all the gods of war do, and one I shall share with you, is to, on every spawn, aim down your sights before you do anything else, and there is your center. Do it on every game, every respawn, and before long you'll be finding that center quicker than I turn lesbians. Yes, it's true, they simply cannot resist my charm when I turn on the D. Number 3. Aim game. It's actually shocking how many people run around looking everywhere except for where truly matters. Linking on from the previous point, this is to consider carefully where you're looking and why. Often players stare at the floor when running forward. They don't predict enemy positions, or perhaps they just get caught up by the pretty artwork on the walls. This is a problem for you and for your teammates. Take this example, a common situation faced by us all. Here we have a standard building with enemies within. One on the stairs, another in the doorway at the back. If you run in with your aim lowered, your reaction time to the chap by the chandelier will be slow and ineffective like Georgie was at football. Poor Georgie. But if you're ready for it, you may even see him before he sees you. Consider your aim all the time. What are you going to achieve? Where will the enemies be? As you can see here, the difference in reaction time and success is huge. Number 4. Recoil Reduction. I know many of you think my recoil control is more impressive than Kate Upton's giant wonder cannons, but it can be learnt, and yes, I do use standard equipment to get the job done. Recoil reduction and control is a learnt skill. The only way to get better at it is to practice, but one problem I see often is soldiers that attempt to control the entire magazine. This is almost completely impossible. Firing in bursts is easy to control, while using the thumbstick gently push forward to counter its movement, but an entire clip will be impossible to control unless you're using a bipod on a hill under no suppressive fire. Take this example. I am shooting the entire clip in both scenes and using the exact recoil control techniques, but view the difference in spread and see which is going to be more effective at neutralizing your foes. Another strong tool in your arsenal to help with recoil is to fully understand your weapons, their damage over distance, and their stats. Simthic.com is a fantastic tool to truly understand your weapons. It can be intimidating with the amount of information, but knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more control you can exert. Number 5. Setting superiority. Settings play such a huge part in the battlefield, and like every soldier is individual, much like each and every lady I've ever had the pleasure to wine, dine, and treat so fine, you've got to experiment to find your perfect match. Default, of course, is good for new soldiers eager to get out there and sow their virginal battle oats, but for the veterans among us, the soldiers with experience and ambition, the settings tab is where some real power can be found. Firstly, I would highly recommend turning uniform soldier aiming on, which basically makes all weapon sights feel the same in terms of sensitivity. So a pistol will feel the same as an SMG, and a sniper like a machine gun. If you do decide to do this,
Which you should!
you would be a fool not to go into the advanced sensitivity settings and make sure all the soldier zoom sensitivity is set to 100%. Next up is general soldier stick sensitivity. I use 90% because it's just right for me, but it takes time to get used to an increase in sensitivity. But if you do decide to increase your sensitivity, then you must do it gradually. Jump too high and the battle will quite possibly turn into an impossible blur of frustration. Like my last night with Sveta Miranova. What a cocktail she was.
Cocktease!
And another setting I'd recommend turning off is auto-rotation. Having it on helps soldiers snap to targets, but I have it off as I prefer to aim my love gun where I want to. I mean my gun where I want to. And for a bonus staff, you fine gents and gentesses, mobility. You see, no frills, a point without the fancies I often lavish, but this point is so important and so simple. Mobility is key. Many players often rinse and repeat certain failed attacks, like charging blindly into a corridor of death instead of flanking around the back. They run and stand instead of run and slide, they duck instead of hit the deck. A speedy, unpredictable soldier is a deadly one, so get used to sliding around corners and use this important feature to escape and evade enemy fire. I don't see it utilised much, but a slide and being aware of your movement is so important to success and lethality. One special tip that I shall donate to you lovingly is to use button mapping. One simple change: swap the crouch button with the melee button, so your right thumbsticks become crouch. This is so incredibly effective. When you're running, taking your thumb off of the direction stick to press a button is a terrible idea. It slows your ability to move and is counterintuitive. Swap these buttons, and yes, to start with, you'll swing more wildly than and frequently than Hugh Hefner, but once you get used to it, and used to it you will wonder why it took you so long to make that change. The benefits are quite literally game-changing. Well, that be it for another week of wonderful superiority, and I thank you for coming back time and time again. This old dog, unlike the saying goes, has more tricks than Laura Linney almost won an Academy Award. Almost. And will please more heartily than a Filipino bride. Or hell, I'll die trying. But for now, I bid you farewell. Practice hard, and if you ever feel alone on that battlefield, just look to the stars and whistle. You know how to whistle, don't you? Please do tap that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. For more tips, tricks, profound nonsense, and all things Battlefield 1, I'm DRBC007, signing off.